Welcome, everybody, to the O&N Podcast, Opinions and Nonsense Podcast. We're your host. I'm Dan.
And I'm Matt.
All right, so this is our first episode, and the format we're going to go with is a very simple one. It's called Movie Face Off. And so Matt made me watch a movie. I made Matt watch a movie. And we're just going to talk about the movies. That's it. It's just opinions and nonsense. So, Matt, what movie did you make me watch?
All right, this is how this all began. Because for as long as I could remember, probably most of my adult life, I would say young adult life, people have been giving me shit about liking the movie Face Off with John Travolta and Nick Cage, which you know now.
John Woo.
Yeah, that's it. So I don't know why I've gotten shit. It's just something that that's always gotten under my skin. And then when I met my wife, she happened to love the movie. Now, I'm not saying that's why we got married, but it's definitely a factor. I'm not going to lie there. So she loved the movie.
Matt, if she absolutely hated that movie, would you have married her?
There definitely would have been some friction.
It would have been a point of contention. That's how much this movie means to you.
There definitely would have been some friction that we may not have survived. But really what it is especially my friend Al, my best friend Al gave me a lot of shit about it. So,
really?
Yeah, I mean, he just kept talking about how it was the worst movie ever. And I'm gonna just start off by saying this, okay?
It's not Biodome. It's not the worst movie ever.
It's not the worst movie ever. But what it is it's an entertaining film. That's what it is.
Okay. I agree. I mean, my knowledge of the movie Face Off was that I maybe saw it in 2003 on like TNT. And I didn't really remember it. So when me, Matt, and his friend Al were at a bar, we were talking about it and we got so heated about it, and I didn't really remember. It's a passionate topic. So I watched. It's on Netflix, by the way, as of May 2018. It is on Netflix, thank God, because I was not buying the DVD to watch the movie Face Off. But I watched it, and Matt, I have to honestly say, this might be the most over-the-top movie that I've ever seen.
It's an over-the-top film, but it's over-the-top in the best ways ever that you could ever imagine.
It's absolutely. Listen, this is everything great and horrible about action movies at the same time.
Right.
It is every major action sequence. Every 90s, 80s action movie ever had is in this. You have the plane sequence. You have the helicopter sequence.
Right.
You have the boat sequence. You have the unnecessary standoff with 8 people standing off against each other. You have... The only thing that was missing was a bus sequence. I think after... And because this movie came out after Speed, so I was really shocked.
Great film.
Speed's very good. Speed is Die Hard on a bus. I mean, that's
an amazing film.
And that's, I'll take it. Not every movie has to be Citizen Kane.
Hey, man.
So, this movie, it's so amazingly action movie-ish. And it's John Woo. He did a lot of really, great movies in China. And then he did one movie before, but this was his big blockbuster. And
this was it. This was the one.
Because he did Mission Impossible 2 after this. So this was kind of this was kind of his big foray into massive blockbusters. Because he did a Jean-Claude Van Damme one that was pretty big, but this was like a $80 million movie. And this is $80 million, $1997. So that's a whole other episode. That's a whole other episode, Matt. Well, we're going to stick with Face Off for now. But in Face Off... I was like, is this what John Woo thinks Americans like? Is this,
it could be one of those sort of, I guess like a kind of assumptions. It's almost like a caricature.
Yeah, it is. It's almost also, or is John Woo, and this is my personal theory, I don't know this. I watched so many cast interviews from the promotional reel on YouTube to prepare for this podcast, and I still cannot get a read on what John Woo thought of this movie. But my theory, my personal theory about the movie is that what happened was the studio kept giving him notes.
Yeah.
We need more explosions.
Right.
And he probably just gave up
There's no doubt that he hired somebody to give him insight into the American market and was just he was getting fed.
Yeah,
things.
I think he got these notes from the studio and he was just like, "Hey, you guys want more explosions? We'll do more explosions. Just give me the doves." Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
And another
doves.
Yeah. and it's I also like the fact that whoever was playing the bad guy was infinitely more interesting.
Yeah, that John Travolta's like sad, like despondent dad.
Yeah, the good guy stinks in this movie.
He was just so depressing that I could never even believe that he would have the motivation to even get out of bed to take a piss, let alone track this guy down.
Yeah, and his wife, like, she should have been hotter. She should have been a hotter actress, I think.
I
Gina
can't remember.
Gershon, take my word for it. She's like, standard early 40s white woman from the 90s. But Gina Gershon, the Castor Troy girlfriend. She was she was a hottie.
You really watched this film, huh?
Yeah, I did. I watched this a piece of cinema.
Let's see that again.
No. I was too enthralled by the action of this movie. That's the thing. It was so over the top. I mean, this movie is insane with like everything is like extra. There's nothing in this movie that is subtle.
I mean, even the storyline itself is so ridiculous in its ambitiousness, that
I took his face.
Yeah, and it's very American in that aspect too, right? Like to do the most outrageous. Like you can't just go undercover. John Travolta can't just go undercover. He has to become his enemy.
They know what John Travolta looks like.
Right.
So they can't. They have to do a face transplant.
Right.
Or else Los Angeles is gonna blow up. Apparently.
Were you amazed at how perfect they were able to make him look like Castor Troy?
I was. It was seamless.
It was absolutely
seamless. There's so many plot holes, but I don't even want to go over the plot holes.
No, we don't have to.
First of all,
that's what makes it fun.
But it's an action movie.
Yes.
It's not. This isn't like an indie movie. That's supposed to. This isn't not. There's nothing in this movie when Nicolas Cage sticks his tongue out to a woman 10 minutes in and just goes, "I can lick a peach for 20 minutes."
By the way, that was the most cringe-worthy scene ever.
Oh, but you know
don't
what
watch
it is?
that with your parents.
You know what it is though? That scene tells you you're either with us or against us.
Right.
You're either going to suspend your disbelief for Nicolas Cage here, or you are not. And that's what the movie's about. It's this over the top, insane action movie that is so. I don't.
Did you find? I gotta talk about that scene though. Did you find that you were a little bit disappointed in that FBI agent or that undercover agent when you found out she was
totally
an agent?
Unprofessional. I mean,
that was
terrible.
Was she willing to get HIV or whatever diseases? I don't want to muddy the waters.
I don't want to muddy the waters here, but like that woman was committed to being undercover.
She should get a medal. Is there an award for that?
I think she died, so she's probably gonna get a medal.
That's probably it.
But like the good guy character in this movie stinks.
It's just not. It's you know what? Yeah, he doesn't have enough. He doesn't have enough. How would I say? Like things for you to cheer for.
It's not even that. He's just so stale. He's like an FBI agent with the brooding backstory. It's everything. Like Castor Troy is the best part of this movie.
It's the best part of the film.
It's the best part
because you want to live his life. In fact, John Travolta wanted to live his life after he became him.
That was the best part. Was like, he's like getting really familiar with your girl. Oh, by the way, the best actor in this movie is not Nicolas Cage. It's the bald guy, best friend of Castor Troy.
It escapes me.
First of all, everything that guy says is like a catchphrase.
Is that the "No more drugs for that man"? Is that him?
Yeah, that guy.
Oh, okay.
That guy is
drugs.
The most like underrated performance in any movie.
Like Minion. There's like a Minion award.
It's not even a minion because it's like literally when the cops are in the shootout, he's like just saying catchphrases every time he's on the screen.
That must have been something else that was fed to John Woo during this.
I would like to think that's an improv that guy did. I would like to think.
No, there's no way.
Because it's so out of, like, even for this movie where it's so action movie-ish, that's almost like, it's so ridiculous that if you saw that in a parody of action movies, like the scary movie action movies, you'd be like, it's a little over the top. I don't.
You know what? Actually, I mean,
I'm
beyond the
surprised that's not been made a action movie spoof movie.
I think all the characters in this movie died with the end of this film. There was just nothing left, no story left to be told.
They told it. They nailed it.
They told everybody. Actually, really, I think there's a few characters that we're not discussing from this film that really struck close home to me, and those were the two golden guns of Castor Troy. I wanted those guns as a teenager. Bad.
Did you ever play the N64 game GoldenEye?
Yes, absolutely, I did.
Golden Gun. I think
Golden Gun.
I think
and they had two of them. Two of them. And they had a special case. It was just like amazing.
It was all his personal affects that Castor Troy was having. Yeah, but like I was watching this and I was like, oh, this, like, within 10 minutes, the 10 stupid faces Nicolas Cage makes.
Yeah.
I was like, this is going to be amazing.
It would have been funny to be on that set where he was like, if he were method acting, he was running around acting like Castor Troy. It's like popping pills and
like
like
a peach for 10 minutes, just sticking his tongue out to harassing
just sexually
the
assaulting everyone,
men and women.
But
yeah, that bald guy minion is the best part of that movie. I was like that. Like it was so hilarious to me. Because it was like everything this guy's gonna say is gonna be a catchphrase. like in a shootout, he's got time for like quips.
Okay, so all right. So here's the thing though, and this is the point that I often stress, especially to my friend Al, and Gloria agrees with me, my wife, is that the movie is not meant to, as you had mentioned earlier, is not meant to be taking home prizes for like a Pulitzer. It's a blockbuster film. It is an entertaining film, and I believe it belongs in a genre of films, specifically
action movies. It's an
action movies, right?
It's an action movie.
But more specifically, movies that are simply entertaining.
They're
only meant for entertainment.
Just shut off your mind. It's good versus evil. Even if good's a little dull, that's actually kind of reflective of real life.
And it's pure fantasy. It's supposed to be nutty. It's almost nutty. It's nutty.
It's so fun. Like, it's just a fun movie. Like I said, not everything has to be Citizen Kane. But the one thing, and it's almost weird because, like, it kind of made me think about, like, like every year there would be especially in like the 80s and the 90s, there'd be like some big new action movie.
Right.
Do they make action movies anymore that don't star The Rock? I think like he's the only.
No, every generation has
a franchise.
No, every generation has the bodybuilder like star.
No. Well, The Rock was a wrestler, so that makes sense that he knows how to act.
Yeah, but what I'm
saying is that, like,
oh really? Have you seen wrestling acting?
They do that shit live, man.
I'm just saying. I mean,
wrestling is a live.
He is a diamond. He is a diamond in the rough. That guy is golden. He's a decent, halfway decent actor.
He's a great action star. And John Cena's a good action star too. I mean, he's not like
John Cena.
Okay, who's an action
star? The Rock is way more versatile.
The Rock plays himself in every movie.
That's okay.
John Cena plays
an ex-military guy in every single film.
No, he's been doing some comedy stuff lately. That's what I'm saying. Is like I think like for action movie stars. Like Schwarzenegger was a bodybuilder.
What about Hulk Hogan?
What
was that Nanny film where he was like the babysitter?
Mr. Nanny.
Mr. Nanny, bro.
I have not seen that, but I have seen Santa with Muscles, which is another episode of the podcast.
The one where he's babysitting the kids, that was pretty golden.
But what I'm saying is that like action movies, like they're superhero movies, which are a lot of action. Right. There's franchises like Fast and the Furious.
Okay. Which they made way too many of those.
No, but they make They make so much money.
I don't give a shit.
I'm just saying. You know what it is? Fast and the Furious. That movie started out as like a nice like racing movie, and then it's just like an action movie now.
No, but you know what happened with that film, and that's a great point you made. When it started out, The Fast and the Furious was an intimate action movie. You cared about the characters. There was a small huddle of people in the in-group. Mm-hmm. You cared about, I don't know, the main guy, Vin Diesel's character, whatever
Paul
it was.
Walker.
Paul Walker, right? And then what happened is exactly what you said. They blew it up into an action feature film franchise that had no heart. You didn't care about the characters anymore. It was all about explosions and what car are they going to drive now?
Yeah, but at least it's so over the top in that way. Like they just got rid of all auspices of plot and character development. They're always on one last mission. Like they don't. It's like you've been on your last mission for 4 movies.
And do these people really need the money at this point?
Yeah.
Every time you see them, they're like these $1 million garages.
Now it's like this girl's getting blackmailed. She's one of us. But it's what I'm saying is that like action movies like Face Off, where it's like it's not a franchise.
Right.
It's not a superhero movie.
It's a one and done.
It's a one and done. It's really just The Rock that stars in them. Like there's not a lot of big budget action movies.
But let's talk about the one and done. There's magic in the one and done.
There is,
because there's no expectations for a sequel. You can do whatever you want.
There is a sequel for Face Off.
No, there
is not a sequel. But if they wanted to,
they could.
And John Woo, feel free to steal this.
Yeah, I'm sure he's listening to this one.
Okay, he will be.
It's related. Did you hear about those guys? I think my career is restarting.
Yeah,
man.
they got this great idea. Castor Troy, the bad guy, has a son that's adopted.
All right, you're writing the script. You're writing the script right here.
By the man. Think about this though. Think about this. This is the sequel because he's 5 then, so it's like 20 years later. They can still do it. They can still do it, Matt.
What would happen is John Travolta would have to have another son because the mother is tired of John moping around the house with
me too, man. He's got a daughter in that movie.
Listen,
he's got a daughter in that movie.
I'm saying what happens is he has another son, and then the other son.
I don't think you could do the switch faces thing twice.
No, you wouldn't have to. You wouldn't have to do that. But maybe there's a trans person in there.
It's 2018, John Woo.
2018, man.
But this is the weird thing about the end of that movie. Spoilers for a 20-year-old movie.
Yeah, like no one's gonna care.
But okay, so John Travolta, whose character's name I can't remember, adopts the boy of the man he just killed. Right?
I mean, Castor Troy.
He adopts Castor Troy's son, right?
Right.
Now,
because he's so heartbroken, and this is like what 12 years down the pipe, he still can't get over his son.
No. This is how it is. So it's all these years later.
Right.
So he adopts Castor Troy's son. What happens when Castor Troy's son finds out who killed his dad?
He tries to impersonate him.
And people are gonna be like, whose dad was evil? No, the last time he saw his dad.
The
last time he saw his dad, Matt, his face was swapped with a good guy. So his last memory of his dad is his dad saving his life.
Listen, this is not gonna lie, my head's spinning on this one.
Next time you watch the movie Face Off, you're gonna be like, "Oh my god, there is a sequel! There is a sequel to this, and it can't be made 20 years later." Because John Travolta's daughter, I guess she was a bit of a wild child in her teen years.
Yeah, but he helped her out there.
Grows up, flies straight, joins the FBI.
Okay.
Castor Troy's son was a good kid.
Yeah, but nobody likes the lineage sequels
but that's the way you have to do it though. You can't do like John Travolta, Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, but that assumes that father that the bad guy
is going to pass anything I want.
Well, but the last memory Castor Troy's genetics, his bad boy streak passes on to his son or daughter.
That's not the most. Listen, you're in a universe where you could swap faces with a man.
Okay,
it's not.
But assuming that Castor Troy amassed a fortune of illicit cash, we imagine that maybe his son or daughter, goes to a nice private school.
You know what?
Cleans his or her act up.
Castor Troy's got some associates that could be a bad influence. Like, I knew your dad.
Yeah.
You know who killed him? The guy who adopted you. Boom.
Oh, okay. So you're going with the surrogate parent thing, like the Alfred and the Batman
Castor
situation.
Troy's brother, did he die? Oh, that could
yes, he did die.
He did die.
Remember, he put the glasses on him.
Here's how I'm gonna Fast and Furious this plot.
Was it glasses or?
Yeah.
No, he tied his shoes. Yeah. Remember, he couldn't tie his shoes or something like that.
Yeah. So here's how I Fast and Furious that.
Yeah.
He's got another brother.
Yeah, there's another that you didn't see.
You didn't see.
I stopped watching the Fast and Furious after the first one.
But the Fast
I couldn't
and Furious,
get over Paul Walker.
The Fast and Furious movies they're known for filling plot holes with one line. So like Ludacris, like in the first movies he's in, is like not a computer hacker,
Right.
at all. Like it's never mentioned. It's never. Like I'm pretty sure they use computers
no
in front of him, and like he doesn't know what to do. And then like in the fourth movie where he becomes a computer hacker, they're like, "Where'd you learn all this?" Here's how they fill it, Matt. I had a life before I met you. Boom, plot hole instantly
filled up. Actually, you know what? I have something to say about the Fast and Furious. In the first film, where Paul Walker is kind of having like a father-son moment with the computer person, he goes, "Shouldn't you be going to MIT or whatever?" And he's like, "No, I have attention deficit disorder." So like this entire like grown man's brilliance is squandered and explained away because of ADD. Like that's how deep ADD has infiltrated the layperson's vocabulary.
Yeah, but when was the first Fast and Furious? That was like 2001, I want to say, right?
Yeah, but I mean,
so that was like a big topic de jour.
So do you think that Big Pharma sort of
no, we're not doing
threw
politics.
some money there?
We're not doing politics in this podcast. This is opinions and nonsense.
It's complete nonsense.
On the nonsense.
Absolute nonsense. But it is nonsense that his entire MIT career would be derailed by ADD.
Yes,
I mean Adderall did exist back then. Am I wrong? Am I wrong?
Maybe he didn't want to take it, but to wrap a bow on Face Off and just
let's wrap
the
it.
Magnificent.
First of all, John Travolta, I got to give props to him.
As evil Castor Troy, he was great.
I'm telling you, I like John Travolta as the evil dude. I like him as the villain.
What else has he been the evil dude?
Don't bring that up, bro.
No,
Broken Arrow?
I've never seen Broken Arrow.
What? Oh my God.
I've never seen Broken Arrow.
Dude, Broken Arrow, see that film.
Oh, God.
John Travolta as the villain in that film is brilliant. And Christian Slater makes a pretty good hero there.
Christian Slater's not bad. Not bad.
Dude, I mean, he makes a good hero in that film. You got to see it. Okay. He's a great villain.
What year was
in that
movie
film.
from?
Jeez, I wish my brother was here. He would know.
No, what circa like early 2000s?
I want to say maybe late 90s.
Late 90s, okay.
Late 90s.
What else has he been a villain in though? Anything else?
Battlefield Earth.
I mean,
I was afraid to say it. I didn't want to say it.
I'm not watching that movie.
I didn't want to say it.
You were indignant, like, don't make me say Battlefield.
Don't make me say it.
I have not
I gave you the eye.
But
don't make me do it.
Yeah, but like, Nicolas Cage is just an enigma. He's terrible in some movies, and he's fantastically.
I mean, name a great Nick Cage film.
Raising Arizona.
That would not be the first one that came to mind.
I thought you were gonna. I had that in mind because I thought you were gonna say Nick Cage performance,
no,
and not Nick Cage movie. Because like Nick Cage as an actor,
The Rock.
Yeah, Con Air was a good action movie.
It was all right,
like for an action movie,
for an action film. It was entertaining.
It was entertaining.
It was an interesting plot.
You're like, oh, the plot's not good, but Face Off's amazing. The plot of Con Air is there's a lot of plot holes. Like guys transporting faces on each other.
I had a problem with the Southern twang / charm gentleman thing going on there. Yeah. I didn't like that kind of. Just came off a little cheesy.
Is not from the South.
But
at all. I don't think he's ever lived in the South.
I had an issue. I just had an issue with they laid it on thick, like, I'm going to get home to my little girl. Like, and it was like he was the...
You want to know why? Because he was the good guy.
He was the good guy.
Is he any more lame than John Travolta's character?
Probably the only redeeming quality of that Con Air film was that
all the convicts who were cool.
he went to prison defending his lady in honor. In a rained out fucking bar
also
fight.
I also like the idea of he's one guy and there's like 38 villains. Because there's just all the convicts are villains in that movie.
Wasn't Dave Chappelle in that film?
Dave Chappelle was in that. Dave Chappelle has been around for a long time. He's been around since the early 90s and he's only like 45.
All right. But The Rock is one of the greatest.
I haven't seen The Rock in a while.
It's a great film.
I probably haven't seen The Rock since maybe 2009.
It's a great film, and Ed Harris is in it.
Ed Harris. I thought for a second there,
he had a few strands of hair left on his head.
I thought you were gonna say Ed Helms. I'm like, he was in that.
No. But there was a great catchphrase in that film, though.
Welcome to The Rock.
That, but also there was a point where Nicolas Cage had to rattle off an Elton John, the name of an Elton John song,
Goodbye,
The
Yellow
Rocket
Brick
Man.
Road.
No, the Rocket Man is like, you're the Rocket Man, and just like shot him through the window, which is, an appropriate way to end someone's life. I mean, if you're going to do it with some pizzazz.
Do it with a little showmanship.
And, but anyway, The Rock was definitely.
The movie, not the
It's
actor.
a great film. Right. The movie.
But, yeah.
We have to say that.
Now that's how big The Rock is.
That's how big.
First of all, The Rock is definitely bigger than the movie The Rock, and I think he has been for some time now.
Probably. It's amazing how that guy's career has just like exploded.
Yeah, because he left wrestling because he thought he was going to be this big actor.
How many people? That was a gamble.
And you know what?
It's a gamble.
And you know what though? He was so for a while. Like when he first, because he left wrestling like 2003. And he did a few movies. Some were, but he wasn't a blockbuster star. And then he went back to wrestling to help promote the Fast and the Furious.
Wow.
And so it was the combination of that was his big return after like 8 years.
Yeah.
And being in the revitalized Fast and the Furious movies.
Revitalized.
Well, because he and Vin Diesel went back to it. That's
Okay.
how it got right. I mean, listen, you can say what you want about those movies, but
It's true that they could not continue that franchise. It was clear that franchise would
That was
not
the way to
continue
go.
without Vin Diesel.
It could not.
You
for
could
some
not
reason.
do it.
Oh, Vin Diesel's another episode of this podcast. His career fascinates me.
All right.
So
Well, what's next on the roster here?
So you made me watch the
little
movie.
empty here.
You made me watch the movie Face Off,
Okay.
which is apropos for our bit called Movie Face Off. But I went almost the exact opposite direction for the movie.
This guy.
I wanted you to watch. It's the 1980s classic teen movie. No, not the one you're thinking of, listener.
Not Breakfast Club.
Not anything by John Hughes or Fast Times at Ridgemont High. I went to a deep cut. I went to a deep 80s cut.
Yeah, this is like watching television late night. Like back when you had to watch the channel
What was
scroll.
on? Just what was on.
Yeah, you were subject to linear TV.
So
Go ahead.
the movie is Can't Buy Me Love, starring Patrick Dempsey.
Wow. And in the
Amanda
prime.
Peterson. That was his prime.
I didn't recognize him, honestly.
I didn't know that was him.
I did not recognize
until
him.
I Wikipedia'd the movie after I watched it. So I did not watch this movie till maybe 2 years ago. And the reason I made Matt watch it was because I know no one else who has watched this movie.
Because you were stuck home alone at night.
Yes, I was. Yeah. But so
let's see what's on.
It wasn't even that. It was just like on my Netflix queue, like always popping up. And there's just certain movies.
Wait. It was popping up because they're like, Dan, since you watched Lonely Hearts Club, like, why don't you watch this film?
Since you watched Pretty in Pink.
Pretty in Pink, The Mannequin, you can watch this.
I've never watched The Mannequin. I want to be on record with that. But so I know no one else who has watched this movie.
Yeah.
And it's a weirdly fascinating movie to me.
Yeah.
For reasons that
you can't describe.
I can explain
Most of our
it.
audience members, all three of them.
Okay, so let me describe. For the plot of this movie is a very simple plot. It's this nerd played by, and this guy's an 80s nerd.
I feel like the 80s were obsessed with nerds culture.
Yeah, because
Revenge of the Nerds. I don't know if that was the early 90s.
No, that was 80s.
That was 80s, right?
Mid-late 80s.
There was a lot of nerd
And just
culture
every
there. Doogie Howser.
Every character, every
90s.
movie had nerds in it. Like it was just a caricature. So, but this guy played by Patrick Dempsey, Ronald Miller is the character's name. And he basically does every nerdy thing nerds did in the 80s. He mowed lawns for money.
Okay,
he was big into
let me stop you
science.
there. Okay, because the mowing the lawn motif for nerds has been propagated even like up until this point. Have you ever seen the movie Accepted?
Yeah, that he's mowing lawns.
It was literally like a carbon copy of that.
That trope of like nerds mowing lawns
There's
has
nerds mowing
lasted
lawns.
from like the 80s through the 2000s.
Right.
It's kind of dissipated this decade.
Right.
I don't know why, but it was a big thing. So this guy, Ronald Miller, is mowing lawns. He's big into science.
It's a ride-on mower, too. It's not a push mower.
Yeah, this guy's got money.
He's invested.
This guy's got money.
Invested
It's
in
his
that
business. He made $1,000 doing it. And he's just a nerd. He's just like every 80s stereotype of a nerd, but he doesn't want to be.
Right.
Doesn't want to be a nerd. He doesn't like being a nerd. He doesn't like being ostracized
And who
from
does?
the his redheaded friend in that movie was very comfortable in his own skin. So
mean the guy from Happy Days?
That was not the guy. That was not Ron Howard. It did really look like Ron Howard though.
Did.
He so looked like Ron Howard. So just simplify the plot. He makes $1,000 mowing lawns over a summer. He lives next door to the hottest girl in school, and he's crushing on her hard. He's not even crushing on her hard. He's crushing on the concept of like being popular in high school.
Can we just also address the fact that not only does the nerd mowing a lawnmower,
he's mowing a lawnmower.
shit.
Mowing a lawn.
Okay, not only does the nerd from the 80s mow lawns, okay, as his primary source of income, but he's mowing the lawn of the most popular girl in school.
Yeah, that's another thing. Like,
How does that happen?
And he always lives next to the hottest girl in school.
Yeah, they're always like super accessible to
I
the
guess
hottest girl in school.
because like a nerd wouldn't like they would go like a nerd wouldn't drive a car, so we got to fill that plot hole. Yeah, well, they live next to each other.
I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, but here, I mean, the mowing lawns is like the official hallmark of bona fide geekdom.
It is,
in, like,
especially in the 80s to the 2000s.
And then hot popular girls ride in drop tops like
Yes.
Beatles. I mean, this is a Volkswagen.
I
in this
assume
one.
that's true from the 80s. That
It
girls
is, but
do-
again, I'll bring it to Justin Long in Accepted. That movie Accepted mowed the lawn of the popular girl
Who drove
a Beetle drop top.
it was a drop top.
It was a drop
Okay,
top,
I'll take your
bro.
word for it. I haven't seen
drop
that movie.
top, and it's all about
That movie hasn't
hot
been on
girls
Comedy
have to be
Central
in
in a
drop
while.
tops.
That movie hasn't been on Comedy Central in a while, so I haven't seen it in a while.
It's a great film.
Yeah, great.
Anyway.
All right, but so the plot is the basic crux of the plot is he basically
in.
pays $1,000 for the hottest girl in school to go out with him, and that's it. And it ensues from there. And the reason she needs the $1,000 for some reason is that like
It's not the cocaine addiction.
no, it's not. They it was the 80s, but they couldn't say it was the 80s. So the reason she needs the $1,000 is because she spilt wine on her mother's suede dress, and she didn't want to get in trouble.
She's in big trouble,
So
man.
Ronald Miller wanted to basically pay for a replacement dress that happened to cost $1,000. Yes.
I mean, in the 80s,
and
that was
apparently they
like-
live in Delaware because there was no sales tax.
I mean, $1,000 in the 80s
That's
is
a lot
like
of
what?
money.
That's a lot of money, man.
We could. I mean, it's probably got to be at least like $2,500.
That's crazy.
Crazy. So he does it, and she agrees to pretend to go out with him for a month. And his scheme is to want to be popular.
Right.
And that's the whole crux of the movie. It's a simple plot, but the reason I am fascinated, or not fascinated, but I just something about this movie just sticks with me, is because his
fashion.
scheme works, and he becomes what he hates. And it's that arc,
Okay.
and it's done actually somewhat believably, where you're like,
Really?
somewhat within suspension of disbelief,
Right.
Because like
Within the art of entertainment.
within the art of entertainment, like it's like within suspension of disbelief, like she's actually teaching him how to be popular.
Yeah.
And she's like leading, which is actually pretty progressive because she was the one that was the lead in the relationship. She drove the car. He didn't drive the
Okay.
car. She knew what to do. She was
But
she stood up for him. She stood up for him.
That's the other staple. The popular girl has to be the rich girl as well. She also has money.
Well, you don't want like a poor girl that's hot. It's the 80s. Come on.
There's always that. Like at the end of the love films, people get money somehow, or there's money involved, and everyone's okay.
Yeah,
You know?
but I mean, in this movie, they both had money. Like he was, he had a riding mower in the 80s.
In the 80s, that was it, man.
Look, so what was fascinating with me in this movie is like it's done believably. Where like, okay, she actually sticks up for him. Like
Right.
like she's like, and then he is like, okay, now we can break up and I can date other girls.
But I think that's I would say that was one of the more redeeming qualities of the film, that the popular girl was not heartless. That she
wasn't.
She had an empathetic side.
She started out really
She's-
shallow,
right.
which you would expect, but then like they actually did some character development for the
There's some
for the
character
girl.
development.
Because they were both the lead. It was the Patrick Dempsey was the lead, but like she was the co-lead.
I really loved this film only because it really reminded me of the changes in culture and sort of the really the big hallmarks and milestones
It's such an
culture
80s
then.
movie.
So
It
like,
is such an 80s
yeah, like
movie.
one of the things that struck me was like the iconic sort of teenage bedroom scene centered around the telephone, right? You know, you had that continued
Yeah,
into
they
the
called
90s.
this will never happen. They called somebody
Yeah.
to tell them something was on TV
Right.
on a house phone.
And it's not just one person on the phone. It's like the whole group is just hanging
Yeah.
around the phone. And that continued well into like, you know, like Saved by the Bell and things
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
the
it continued
telephone.
until cell phones really became
There was a lot of
ubiquitous.
Right. And there was a lot of, I noticed also like there was sort of
BMX bikes.
The BMX bikes, like the ET effect, you know, you had that going
It
on.
was also like it was very indicative of how kids must have hung out in the 80s, like teenagers, like
Yeah.
they actually went outside and
Yeah.
like, you know, not that kids don't go outside now, but it's like you had to go out to be social.
Yeah, and they filmed that part of life. Like
Yeah.
that part of life existed in entertainment. Like
Yeah, like-
as the telling of a story on film. You
It
realized
wasn't that it existed. It was a central part of the
It
movie.
was a central part.
Because the only other place they were
Yeah.
was school, their homes, or
Right.
out.
Yeah.
That was it. Like they were just like, yeah, we're out and about.
I feel like there's so much more honesty in like 80s films like that where they depict like high schoolers, you know, you live with your parents, you ride a bike, you know, you're trying to get that car, but who knows if you're going to get it. And if you do get it, it's usually a crappy car or it's mom's car or whatever, as opposed to, you know, things like iCarly, you know, and things like that where
Well, children's TV shows have just given up on realism.
it's insane. Like, you know, you're just like, they're living in these like, like
Opulent apartments in like
thank
downtown
you.
New York.
Opulent apartments and like
And
downtown.
they're not
New York.
portraying a rich person either. Like,
Right, and then like these
It's like,
kids
no, I'm
watching
middle
like
class, and I live in this big apartment in New York with my brother, who's 21 years old and really irresponsible.
it's just silly. It's silly. The other things I kind of noticed was like I know that you're gonna kill me with this one, but like there's like that creepy like sexual harassment undertones there.
Yeah.
Where